why is Jeb Bush like Scott? A couple of reasons. They both caused economic problems, and they got lucky along the way. And in the case of Scott, he caused the red tide, but it came at the end of his time, and he squeaked out a close 12,000 vote win against Senator Nelson. But he messed up the Everglades. He messed up the red tide situation. He screwed up Lake Okeechobee, dumped it into the Gulf instead of to the Atlantic where it would wash out. All these different things. And Jeb Bush, and the two things they both did, rather than allow high-speed rail start in Florida, which was planned and paid for, which was going to cost $2 billion to build high-speed rail between Tampa and Orlando as the first leg of high-speed rail, because that would be a natural. They added another lane on the what's called the I-4 corridor or I-4 parking lot, which ends up being clogged all the time. That's why rail was recommended. The other thing that they did, both Jeb and Scott, they recommended the developers buy up all the land along the interstates, so it couldn't be developed into anything but interstate or what turns into parking lot and congestion. No high-speed rail. No high-speed rail. Don't do that, because it becomes inexpensive for people, and the people are making money off of the ordinary folk. Well, are you talking to me now, Alex? I'm hearing your voice every so often.
Sorry about that. I had the mic on. There was this technical difficulty. I apologize. Mic's off now. Continue, sir.
Well, and anyway, the rail would have started a great thing. Florida needs high-speed rail, and two reasons. One, because of hurricanes. It's the best way to get people out of a hurricane in large numbers and not clogging your highways with cars that fall and collapse and shut down and block one another, which is what happens when we have hurricanes hitting us in the middle of the state from the east or the west side. And so both of these governors interfered with a much improved situation. Jeb Bush, and on top of that, stole the election or helped steal the election for his brother, Gee Whiz, GW, as some people call him. I call him Gee Whiz. Same guy, and and the mother, say Martha Bush, but anyway, Mrs. Bush said that Jeb was her favorite, and he should become president one day. And she loved him more than Gee Whiz. She thought Gee Whiz was an idiot. Well, Gee Whiz kind of was an idiot, but that's the whole Bush story kind of comes out of this. He becomes president by cheating. On top of that, but how did he get to be president? Not just by cheating in an election, how to get to the position of being even nominated for the presidency. Well, before he was anything, he had to be something. What was he? He had a little oil company called Harkin Oil. And Harkin Oil was a defunct oil company. And Saudi Arabia sold an oil well to Gee Whiz and said it was a flowing oil. And when Saudi gave up oil wells, it was usually one that was pretty good. So the stock on Harkin Oil, which is owned by Gee Whiz, shot through the roof. And Gee Whiz then turned around and sold it immediately when the stock went up, because it was worth nothing. And stock, things like that are not worth anything to begin with. So, but the presumption was it was going to be valuable to get in on it early, would be a big boom, it would be a money producer. Well, it was only a money producer for the people who bailed on their stock, had a lot of stock to bail with. It's called insider trading. I'm trying to think of the gal that had the home show, Martha Stewart. She got charged with insider trading on doing the same thing on small stuff. But there were 4 charges of insider trading on Gee Whiz. And so then Gee Whiz made like $64 million overnight, showing that he could make money. And then they took some of that money and invested it in ownership in the Texas Rangers. And what did that do? Put him in the position of maybe a job. So they made him a manager or general manager of the Texas Rangers baseball team. And what did that do? That set him up to run for governor in Texas, and he won. The governor of Texas, and we've seen the antics of Governor Abbott in Texas currently, who made such a mess of things, because governors usually in Texas are of no consequence, and they don't do much. They only sit in the office like 6 months of the year at most, and it's just known that way as being kind of a useless job. But it promoted him. And then once he was governor, he then could run for something else. And they did. They ran him for the presidency. And that was right after Bill Clinton, right? And he had to run up against Al Gore. And I talked about how he won that election. Really didn't win it, stole that election. But the Electoral College makes this stuff happen. And gee whiz, got to be president at that time. So as president, he's not in president more than about, let's see, from January to the beginning of school. He's reading My Pet Goat in Sarasota, Florida, to children there. And they tell him about the planes crashing into the towers. And he turns around and says something to someone, what are we going to do about this? And we're going to get you out of here, sir, and tell the children that you're going to come back another time to tell another story. You're good at telling stories, sir. And so he did tell a story. He went to the American people and said, we're going to pay these people back. These people were not from Afghanistan. They were from Saudi Arabia and from Yemen. 15 from Saudi Arabia, 1 from Yemen. The planning of this was not in Afghanistan, but some of the Afghan people practice war. So they must be involved with this somehow. They were not in the planners. The planners were 11 ministers from Saudi Arabia. We mustn't go to Saudi Arabia, because if we go to Saudi Arabia and attack them, well, that will we will have to control the oil from Saudi Arabia and arrest all the people that we've been in bed with, selling oil back and forth, and arrest some of our people as well. So we're going to go to Afghanistan, because those people are ignorant and they're kind of easy. We can beat them up rather easily and take control, and we'll take over overnight and change things and get those bastards. We'll do that. So Afghan people never attacked towers in 9/11, never took part in the planning, but we attacked them. And we occupied them for 20 years. And they didn't attack us at 9/11. We kept celebrating the revenge we got against the Afghan people who never attacked us. The only thing they ever attacked was their own women, like ignorant farmers sometimes do, because basically all they do is grow poppies there in the rural areas. There is a city area called Kabul and a few others, Bahrain and so forth, but the majority of the country is very steep mountains and valleys and women with no rights. And we were there for 20 years and we just got out. But George Bush Jr. did that for us. And he spoke on 9/11 this year of 2021, and 9/11, that he was more concerned about the terrorists in this country and in our own Republican Party than the terrorists in Afghanistan. So he has gained some insight, and he's forgotten a great deal as well. Maybe it's Alzheimer's. He's actually a pretty good painter, by the way. He still developed his skills as an artist and a portrait painter. But his willingness to reveal the truth openly, willingly, the FBI knows that he knew the attack was coming. A woman by the name of Kathleen Rowley, who headed up the FBI in Minnesota 3 months prior to 9/11, kept calling his office to say, this is about to happen. And it's going to happen in Boston. And they're going to take those planes and fly them into the towers. The pilots are in Venice, Florida, practicing how to take off, how to land, just how to take off. So they can take the commercial airlines, I think American Airlines, and I forget what other airline. They flew 3 planes. And they flew them into the towers. And because of the design of the towers, I think the architect that wrote about the towers when they were first constructed at 1,000 feet or whatever they are, said these towers are really vulnerable. And if something untoward happens to them, they're designed to collapse upon themselves. And a plane going through an entire floor would cause that cascade effect of pump, 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 all the way down to the ground, which is what happened with fire and smoke and 3,000 dead. That's all. Bloody Edge is talking on bloody issues and bloody fucking truth. Thank you.
This is the production. This is the production crew. We just want to say that we apologize for me cutting in and my kid cutting in, but we didn't realize the mic was on. We all have our kids watch the show. I mean, this is history. This is facts here. A lot of it's opinion, but when Augie talks history, he talks facts because he definitely lived through it, and it's definitely something the kids should hear. And that's why you guys heard us with the mic on. We definitely apologize. And we don't have the software right now to do the editing. We will in a couple of weeks, thanks to Android. Thank you, Android, for not giving us the software to edit this video. But other than that, thank you, Augie, for everything. And sorry, viewers, that you heard us cutting. Thank you. Bye.
I wouldn't make too much out of that. I mean, you could do. I thought it was not that big. It just could have had somebody could have come into my room, and I asked a question. It's no big deal. It was very minor, and I
cut it out. I cut it out, Augie.
Okay.
Well, I cut the recording off. I wanted to throw that in there, to give your viewers like, oh man, we can bring our kids and the kids can watch the show too.
There you go.
Because I wanted to use a mistake into something like I made it look like we planned it. You know what I mean? Like, hey, because kids could watch this and learn something.
Well, what did you think of what I came up with there?
No, it's incredible, man. I mean, everything was facts. I mean, you just were spitting facts. I mean, it's sad that you're not a history teacher right now in high school, in Sarasota High School or in middle school. It's sad that you're I mean, it's almost like you're wasting all this information. But if we can put this on YouTube shows, this information is not wasted. If I knew this information, Augie, I'd be writing books. I mean, I'm just being real with you, man. I mean, I'd give a book. I'm not saying I'd be a famous book writer, but at least I could pass these books down to my family members. Because this is good stuff, man. I mean, this is history, man. I mean, you know it. I mean, you questioned what's his name? Was it Ronald Reagan? You asked him yourself. Who is the politician you asked yourself? You talked to yourself. It was Ronald Reagan.
I shook hands with Reagan at the Van Wezel Theater as he was about to give a speech. He was coming down the stairway, and I said, why are you even running for office when you don't believe in government? I said, no, I said it. You don't believe in government. Why are you running? That's all I said, quickly. My wife shook hands with Nancy Reagan at that time. It was just a quick comment, and he brushed it off. He was in the Van Wezel. He was on the at the Van Wezel. It was on the left side of the building, and I was at the left side there. And I stood up and I shook hands directly with him. He had a mask on to cover his, so he was on stage looking like fucking Superman. He had to have had padding in his shoulders, made his shoulders look like they were 5 feet wide, and he was literally that kind of look to him. And on the stage, he looked terrific, but up close, he looked fucking weird. So, but it's really true. And um,
That's incredible, though. Think about what you just said. That is incredible. You don't think it's incredible because you lived through it. I never had the chance to see Ronald Reagan. I was born in 1988.
Well, to give you an illustration, the mask, the plastic, the wax mask.
Hold on, let's make this a show real quick. Let's make this a 2-minute snippet. What did Ronald Reagan look like? You want me to ask you, or do you want to just say, "Hey, this is what Ronald looked like when I see him at the Van Wezel in 19 or whatever it was."
Meeting with
Had been 18.
A meeting with Ronald Reagan. I'm trying to think. This was after he was nominated.
Was it in the 80s or the 90s?
Before 1980, before he took the presidency.
This was the 70s.
Well, it was 79, 80. It would have been the fall. It would have been the fall, I think, of 79.
Let's do this. Let's do this. Start the show. Hey, Augi and the Bloody Edge. The fall of 79.
There you go. The real fall, right. Yeah.
The fall of 79.
Yeah.
Because that's when Ronald Reagan took over, man.
Well, he didn't take over till he didn't take. He won office. He won he won the election, but he didn't take office till the next year in 80. But the point is that anyway, so I can say that.
Yeah, just make it look good, because I think it sounds good the way. I just think it sounds good. The fall of 79.
Sure.
Or the fall of 80.
Yeah.
No matter the fall of 80.
The true fall of 79.
Yeah. All right. Give it a couple seconds. I'm gonna bounce out in 3 seconds.